Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Shri Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the Song of the Divine. We'll continue from where we stopped last week. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We are in chapter 2, that is the Sankhyayoga, the yoga of knowledge, and we were covering about the Karma Yoga, the yoga of selfless action as described by Lord Shri Krishna, and we might begin today with verse 54 to 72, which is about marks of the man of stable mind and his glories as described again by Lord Shri Krishna. So let us continue from where we stopped in the last satsang. We have done till verse 52. We will continue from verse 53 onwards. When your intellect, confused by hearing conflicting statements, will rest steady and undistracted in meditation on God, you will then attain yoga, everlasting union with God. This is actually a very, very, very profound teaching which Lord Shri Krishna is now going to impart to Arjuna. So let me just go back one verse before. What is the last thing he has taught Arjuna is, when your mind will have fully crossed the mire of delusion, you will then grow indifferent. What is the most important thing he's teaching here is, when your mind, when your mind is fully engrossed in the divine, that is in the oneness, and it has fully crossed the mire of delusion. So you have to cross the mire of delusion, and that is when you will grow indifferent towards the enjoyments of this world and the next that has been heard of, as well as to those that are yet to be heard. So what is he saying here? So he's telling, you will have to become indifferent. When will you become indifferent to the worldly enjoyments or to the pairs of opposites? Only when you have crossed over the mire of delusions. And then what happens? Now that is the most important thing which is in this verse that is talking about. When your intellect, confused by hearing conflicting statements, will rest steady and undistracted in meditation on God, you will then attain yoga, everlasting union with God. See, what is happening is, our mind is constantly listening to the pairs of opposites, and we are continuously swaying like a pendulum. Yo, 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 yo. And either we feel happy at times, then we are feeling sad, we are upset with something, sometimes you are very excited with the same object. You see this yo-yo in a human being. Sometimes the same object appears to be very beautiful. You say, I love you, I'm so glad you're in my life. It so much happens. You take an example of a husband and a wife, or mother and a child. They're any relationship matter. It could be your best friends, it could be your siblings. You name any relation. When you're conducive to that environment and to things that is favorable according to your mind, you are very happy with that person. Why? That is because it is our mind's expectations, or that which we think is conducive to us, conducive to the mind. So we are very happy. My mother is great, my father is good, my wife is the best thing that has happened to me in this world, my friend is the bestest ever, we are BFF, best friends forever. You're going to say all sorts of things, and you're going to praise that person to heavens. And just, your mind, the moment it thinks that something is being told to you which is unfavorable according to your mind, it is not according to the world or anything, not even the situation, it is according to your mind. Something is being told to you which is unfavorable to you. You're going to react. You're going to hate the same object. So earlier, was that love the truth, or this hatred the truth? What is the truth in this? In both the things, do you see, you're actually swaying? But what is making you sway? The one which is making you sway is the mind, because the mind has already created judgments based on whose understanding you are the yardstick which you use to measure the world, or it is based on your petty understanding. It is your mind's pettiness. Because what is missing to understand the truth or to understand something much beyond, you first need to have knowledge. And today, one most important thing missing in this world is the right knowledge. Nobody has an idea about the truth about anything. Yesterday, we met some of my cousins. We were talking. My Guruji was teaching them. See, today they don't have any knowledge and idea. Guruji asked, what is that you want to do after your school? She said, I still haven't decided. Why is that? That is because they don't understand, number one, and they are not trained to think ahead or channel their way of thinking. What is that I want to do in my life? And another cousin of mine is now giving her CET exam. That is the entrance test for, to become an engineer, to become a doctor. First, you have to clear your entrance exam. So she wants to appear for that. And I said, what do you want to take? What do you want to choose? What is that you want to specialize in? She said, I want to become I want to specialize in information technology. But how much have you already studied about what is information technology all about? This is what the Lord is teaching. How do you know that that is what you want to do? And how much have you already invested yourself in understanding what is that field all about? And do I really want to study in that field? And how am I going to use that knowledge which I am studying and apply in my day-to-day life? That is a very biggest missing element in our life. We all want to get educated. Okay, education is very important. Yes, you have to become a graduate, masters, then PhD, whatever. You want to study, that's your passion. Perfectly fine, no harm. That's a very good thing actually, because you have that urge to study and you have to continue to study, please remember. And you're not going to study because you want to get rank. You're not studying because you want to get marks, the best marks, so that I can get an engineering seat, I can get a medical seat, whatever that you choose to do, You're not studying with that goal. You want to study because you want to understand the subject. You're passionate about that subject, and that is a missing factor from our life, because we are only taught to follow the herd mentality in this world. And maybe she's just saying, I want to become an engineer because she's seen everybody becoming an engineer, and that is why she said, okay, I'm going to also study hard and then I'll get good marks so that I can become an engineer. Then what happens to her life? Just ask. And what happens? She works in an IT company. Then she gets married. She gets settled down. She has 2 children. And her life becomes very normal. Absolute mundane existence. So where are you serving the purpose of your existence? That is the most important question you need to ask yourself. Why? And why does this happen to everybody? We are all living in this world, but nobody has taught us this. Why? That's because we have never come out of our cocoon. We have never come out of that shell we live in. We think that is the world. We have never bothered to go and learn about what is happening in this world. We don't want to make that effort. We're just very comfortable, in our way we are. That's what Lord Shri Krishna is saying. You live in that muck, like that pig who becomes very comfortable in that. There's a very beautiful story about Lord Vishnu, that, no? When he took this Varaha avatar, Varaha avatar, the boar. So he took the avatar of a boar, the wild boar. And then after he finished his work, he got married to another, the female boar, and he had children. And he was so happy, enjoying his family life, that he forgot who he is. And the gods are wondering, oh, what is this Vishnu doing? Lord Vishnu, just imagine, what is he doing as a boar? He needs to come back. His purpose is over. Whatever that he had to do, serve the purpose as that manifestation, he had already finished. And after that, he's still enjoying in that. So finally, Shivji had to come to remind him, Lord Vishnu, please, you have to come back to our heavens, Your job is over on the earth as a wild boar. Can you now please come? And what does Lord say in the form of the boar? He's saying, I'm just enjoying. I love this life of mine. I have children, I'm married, I have my family. That's what he said. It was so hilarious. See, these are not These are not hilarious. It sounds funny, but that is your life. What is the Lord teaching through this Leela? He's teaching this is how we human beings become. This is how we human beings live our life in that muck, saying I'm attached to my family, it's my children, I'm very happy in that muck, I will still, live and eat the same thing in my life. That is what we become. Then what has Lord Shivji had to do? He had to take his trident and kill that boar, the body of that boar. And finally then Vishnu comes back. This is what happens. We get lost in this body, this attachment to this body and the people we associate with. And then what happens? So the teaching here which the Lord is giving, what we are trying to understand is that why does this yo-yo happens? The reason is because one is we don't have knowledge. Second is that we have not bothered, we have not put in our effort to go and learn. We have not opened our mind. We have not opened our, the world around us. The world is there, knowledge is there, everything is there. But we have not put our effort to go and find out. So who is missing out? It is you. Whose self-effort is it? It is yours. So, the whole point here we are talking about is the right knowledge. The knowledge is very important to cut asunder the ignorance. Only if you overcome the ignorance, then you will do your duties. Your duties by not getting swayed. That is, selfless action is what you will perform. End result is never in your hands. What is going to be will anyways be, whether you like it or don't like it. You have come with that, predestination. You're predestined. Everything is already predefined in this world. Your route to destination is already fixed. But the choice rests with you whether you want to take the shortest route possible to reach the same destination or go in a long drawn manner. That is all the choice that exists. And that's a choice you will have to anyways exercise depending on your karmas. Nobody can, suffer for your prarabdha karma. If you have the blessing of the great Guru, in this case, Arjuna has Lord Shri Krishna with him. The Guru only teaches you. Here, what is Lord Shri Krishna doing? He's the Jagat Guru. He's imparting knowledge to Arjuna, the right knowledge. He's teaching him how do you, do your duty. How do you live in this world? What is your purpose? What is your dharma? That is what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching. So, with some good merit that you have earned in your previous lives, you will be fortunate to have this Guru in your life. And when you have this Guru, the Guru can only cushion your prarabdha karma. But he can't, remove that. He can't eliminate your prarabdha karma. You have to go through that suffering, whether you like it or not. And you can't blame anybody in this world. Please remember that is your karma you have come with. Because of your past births that you have committed, all the sins, whether it is good karma or bad karma, everything is a repayment alone. That goes for every individual. Anybody who takes up a body has to face this. So, what is that we are trying to learn? How not to get swayed. The same object. I have seen many families, many, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, everybody will say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then suddenly something might happen and they'll hate the same thing. It goes with a mother, father, children, siblings, everybody. So what is it? It is our expectations. It is our wants. It is our desires. The same object which you think you love the most is the same object you're going to hate at some point in time. But here, what is that we have to come back to? We have to come to the point of becoming indifferent. Indifferent to the worldly enjoyments. It should not matter to us. And most important thing in this verse is saying, hearing the intellect confused. What happens to the intellect? Sometimes you're hearing good things, sometimes you're hearing bad things about the same object. Constant hearing of conflicting views, the intellect is confused by hearing conflicting statements. What does conflicting statement means? And this is one thing which my Guruji does to all. At a point, he'll show the same object to be very good, and at a point in time, he'll show, look how bad that object is. Not bad. He'll say that is the nature. It has both divine and demonic endowments in it. What is that you want to see? What is that you want to take out of the object? That is the choice you have. It is within me as well, right? I have the divine propensities and demonic or evil propensities too. What is that I want to become is purely my choice. Nobody can live my life. Neither I can live somebody else's life. I am perfect in my place. This is my swadharma as this body. That is why I have donned this body. So I am that perfect, piece in that jigsaw puzzle. Nobody can fit that except me. Likewise, everybody is perfect in their places. That is why we say even a blade of grass doesn't move without the divine will of the Lord. So why do we think somebody is big, somebody is small? Who's making all this judgment? It is our own inadequacies, insecurities, incapabilities that we try to do it, we try to put on another object by comparing ourselves with that object. Why are we doing that? Because we live in that insecurities. First is, you need to accept yourself the way you are. And my Guruji says, the choice of you becoming the best version of yourself rests with you, because you're blessed with this knowledge. You're getting this knowledge, the world is not getting. So you have to make an effort to change yourself. And if you see, that's the reason why we are saying we have to lead by example. Lord Shri Krishna here, as we progress along these chapters, he will say in one of the chapter that I don't have to come and do anything. I don't have to do any of the things. I have nothing to achieve. Yet I come and do all these things. You know why? If I don't set an example, then the world will not do. So when the Lord does it, the world also will follow him. That is why our Guruji, Krishna Guruji, teaches us how we need to become that shining example, so that others will get inspired by seeing how we behave, how we live, how we conduct ourselves, and how we, do things in this world. They will also follow us. So that's what he says. I don't want, million. I am not interested in too many students. I'm interested in a handful of them. So if I have taught you, tomorrow if you become good yourself and if you do everything that is being taught to you, the world will follow you. When the world means, it is not the whole world. It is 1 or 2% will follow you. And that's the impact we are looking at to make. We are not here to change the entire world. First, you have to change yourself. And that change begins with me, with you. You have to put that effort. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And it's a choice is there. Whether you want to change or not change, that again rests with you only. See, like Lord Shri Krishna can only teach. He cannot, go and do things for Arjuna. Arjuna has to put the effort to lift the bow and arrow and shoot. So here, the reason why these great masters always give the conflicting views of the same object, see, because they understand perfectly well. There is neither good, neither evil, okay? Everything is a point of view of that individual and that person, that place, that circumstance and everything else, because that's the understanding they live with or where they have come from. But to understand the truth, you have to go beyond all this. So they will always keep giving you conflicting statements so that your intellect gets confused, and then what happens? It will rest steady. Then it will stop swaying, good, bad, right, wrong, happy, sad, beautiful, ugly, all that it will stop. And that's a very long drawn effort, and that effort you have to put. The master is only continuing to teach you. The Guru's job is to keep on testing you with this, because this is the limitation that we have. Why? Because we have always, swayed. It's also because wherever we have grown up, our environment, our parents, our associations, we have only learned, oh look, that person is good, that person is bad, this person is evil, this person is nice, I like, I do dislike, I love, I hate. We have always grown up with this pairs of opposites, and our way of thinking, our way of living, everything is influenced by the people we get associated with. The things that you read, the things that you watch, the people who you live with matters. And that is why we say we have to always live in the company of the holy. You just go away for a few days and see living by yourself. You will your degradation starts happening very fast. You know why that happens? Because we don't have something called self-control, which is what we have to practice. In earlier verses, yesterday and day, last week's satsang, if you have listened, in that you would have known that where Lord Shri Krishna says, Arjuna, you have to practice self-control. You be self-controlled is what he says. So whose job is it? He's not telling the world has to do it. He's saying, Arjuna, you need to do. Because this knowledge, Lord Shri Krishna is not giving the entire Pandavas, or he's not teaching the Kauravas or nobody. He's only teaching that one Arjuna and saying, you be that self-controlled being. That is exactly what my Krishna Guruji says. Look, I don't care about how the world behaves, how they speak, how they talk. It doesn't matter. I am giving you the knowledge and you be your good self. Let them behave in their way because they come from that category. You don't stoop down to that level. This is the teaching my Guruji gives to everybody. And it's a choice, rests with that individual. How do you want to conduct yourself? This is very important, the conduct. And that is, it has to be a good culture. See, my Guruji, all he tries to do is remove the tendencies. But tendencies are too strong. We hold it, we stick on to that. Why should we? You have to let go. The day you let go, it's a freedom. Because we don't have to believe that I am this body at all. Am I not getting transformed in a most beautiful being? The gurus work like this. But here, before that happens, your intellect gets confused by hearing conflicting statements. And that is, they do it intentionally so that you can, what is that they want to achieve? It will rest steady and undistracted in meditation on God. What happens then? So constantly listening to these pairs of opposites, finally, once the intellect is completely confused, it will then rest steady and undistracted. Then what happens? It is attaining the equanimity of mind. It becomes indifferent to the pairs of opposites. It becomes indifferent to the worldly enjoyments. And then it is undistracted and it is in the yoga or meditation on God. That is what it's called, oneness with the divine. So yoga means union with the divine. And for attaining this, you first need to achieve that equanimity of mind. And that's a very important lesson. Why did the Lord take such a long time in explaining to Arjuna the same thing over and over and over again in different ways? Because this is first thing that you have to achieve. See, if you do not achieve this, tomorrow there can be a damage that you can cause. See, today you might be working in a company or you're representing somebody, you're doing something, you might be doing your own business. But if you don't have self-control over your behavior, you can cause a huge loss to the company. You can behave however you want, you can go speak whatever you want, and that will backfire against you. And then what happens? It is not just impacting your name, it will also impact your company's name, your people, and finally it's the money. It can cost you big time. So you don't know what all things can happen. And that is why we need to be very careful. So my Krishna Guruji will always teach us, think before you speak. Don't be a garrulous person. Whatever comes to your mind, don't speak. And this is something we have never been taught. Our parents also don't know. Why? Why do we behave like this? Because we have not been given that culture where we are born. Our parents also behave in that manner. They also need to get educated, unfortunately. They think, we are elders. We can speak however we want. Unfortunately, that's not the way. Because they are setting a bad example to their children. That children are going to learn that. Today, that is missing in our world. Because parents themselves don't have knowledge. They have seen their forefathers and their parents and their grandparents behaving in that manner. So what kind of family are you carrying forward? You're carrying forward that which is not going to be conducive to this world, the environment, and yourself. You're not only you're causing your progress to stop, but you're also going to impact people around. So that is what the Guruji purifies in an individual. The tendencies is what he teaches us to curb, so that we become into a very beautiful divine beings. See, the divinity is within us. Spirituality is all about understanding that I am the spirit and I am not this body, this mind, the senses, the three gunas, everything that I think of myself to be. This body's parents are just an instrument through whom I was born in this world. Like I said, it's a karma associated with them. I'm born because I have to repay them. That is all. It's all about a repayment. But why am I thinking that they are my parents and they are my everything? Why do I think like that? The real parent is Lord Shri Krishna. So we have to become detached and only do our duties towards them. That is what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching Arjuna. Your right is to work alone and not thereof get attached to the end fruit of actions or the end result. Why are you bothered? That they have to be nice to you. It's an expectation. And this is why a human being suffer, because we have too many expectations from the other person. Why can't you have expectations from your own self? Can you drive yourself to becoming very good? It's very easy, this lesson is very easy said and done. Even today, last 12 years that I'm learning under the tutelage of my Krishna Guruji, the expectation somewhere, which still it comes about. But then I have to constantly remind myself, why am I expecting? Why should I expect? I don't have to expect anything from anybody. That is the truth. This body's parents are just a tool. They have the right to expect, but I don't have the right to expect anything from anyone. And I just have to do my job. Be my good self. That is what my Guruji teaches. And this is the sadhana that we all have to put. We have to strive. Again, that's a choice you have. Whether you want to do it or not is a choice you have. Knowledge can be given. Knowledge comes to you. You can be taught. But using the teaching to do something or not rests with you only. Like I said, Lord Shri Krishna is not going to do any of this, any of these things by magical way. No, he's the Lord Almighty. But he's telling Arjuna, Arjuna, you have to do it. You be self-controlled. You put in your effort. You become indifferent to the worldly enjoyments. Why is this world so much attractive to you? And why is this pairs of opposites disturbing you? Who's given you this understanding about right, wrong, good, bad, evil, godly, all this? Who's given you the understanding? First, understand what is this. That is why he's imparting this knowledge to Arjuna, not anybody else. So if you're getting that knowledge, it's a choice that you have. You have some grace. That is called grace. The knowledge comes when you have grace of the Divine Lord Himself. And that grace, you have to take and evolve. Because it's easy, you can destroy that. Like my Guruji says, I can't expect people to understand this truth. Many a time he says, I want to talk certain spiritual stuff, but how many will understand? I can't go and talk about it. And unfortunately today, when you say something in the spiritual context, an individual doesn't even have knowledge will misconstrue that and use it in comparison to the material worldly understanding, and then go and teach another blind person. That person himself is ignorant and blind, and he'll go teach another blind person and impart that wrong knowledge. Then what happens? It's very dangerous, because then you're understanding something wrong and then you're judging that real knowledge. That is extremely dangerous. And that is why I keep saying, half-baked information, half-baked knowledge is dangerous than having no knowledge. So first understand it right. If you don't know, learn to ask. Teach. That's why my Krishna Guruji will say, come up with your questions. Ask me the questions. I will explain to you. And that explanation is given to you for your understanding at that moment in time. Let me tell you, this is another very beautiful thing. You need to understand. Knowledge comes to us at that moment in time, that which is required by us to learn. That doesn't mean that knowledge is the same what you have learned a few years from now. Because your understanding was only like a 6-year-old. When you become 10 years old, then your level of understanding changes. So the level of knowledge that comes to you at that time also will vary. So you can't say that, 2 years back I learned this. That knowledge will not be applicable right now. That is why Bhagavad Gita is a dynamic scripture. Let me tell you, this is very live. It's live. Lord Shri Krishna is live here. If you understand the power of this scripture, because it is the Lord Himself who's giving this explanation at this moment in time. And tomorrow, if I were to, listen, if you were to listen to this satsang 2 years from now and we are doing the same verse, that explanation would have changed. So what you need and what is relevant at this moment in time is what will open up. So don't hold on to something that you have learned 4 years back and say, oh, this is what I had learned 4 years back. But that is not going to even apply right now. So that is how the world evolves. So everything in this world is dynamic. Change is constant. So you being adaptable to that, you also growing in your understanding matters. So the knowledge that is being imparted is relevant at this moment in time, because that is what you need at this moment in time, so that you can evolve on your path. He's not going to give you something you're not ready for. Like my Guruji will always say that, you will get that knowledge that which is required at this moment in time. I'm not going to teach you something that you can't handle and something that you will not be able to understand at all. And the knowledge opens at its own perfect timing. Like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji has always said, the fruit, the mango, if you eat it before it gets ripened completely in the way it has to be ripened, then it's not going to taste nice. Or if it is overly ripe, the taste becomes pungent. You're not going to savor or enjoy that sweetness of that mango. But when it is perfectly ripe, and when you eat that mango, that is when you can savor that sweetness. Likewise, knowledge also has to come to you when you're ready to get that knowledge. Like my Krishna Guruji will say, I have a lot of patience with my disciples. I will wait for them to evolve. But till you don't show your deservability and progress, effort, if you don't show that, how can the Guru open up the knowledge? How can you go evolve the next and the next and the next? You can't. So it is your self-effort. So for you to progress, the Gurus, work in a very weird manner. You can't fathom how they teach. You can't fathom at all. They're unfathomable beings. Why they say, what they say, you can't even judge them. They're talking to every individual's mind to test them. And please remember, they're going to test you constantly. When you least expect it, the test is going to come. And they're going to see where you stand in your life. That is because they want to see, are you worthy of that knowledge? Or are you ready for that knowledge? Should they open up? So before anything they do, they want to give you that knowledge, or they want to, open up something for you. You will always have to face that test. Tests are going to come dime a dozen, and especially when you least expect it. And so the method here, which my Guruji also that is who he is, Krishna Guruji. And what he does? He always keeps giving these conflicting views so that the intellect becomes steady and undistracted, undisturbed in yoga, in absolute equanimity. That is what he does. And then what happens? You will then attain yoga, everlasting union with God. So what happens? Imagine, have we this lesson until here, if Arjuna would have listened and understood everything, Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters was not required. Actually, Bhagavad Gita finishes right here. The Sri Krishna's teachings are already done. He's imparted everything here. You don't even need more than this. The second chapter covers the entire teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This one chapter is good enough. But what does it tell you? It tells you that a human being, Arjuna, doesn't learn. You and me don't learn. So today you have to make an effort to learn. If you don't learn, then what is the point in reading this beautiful scripture? What is the point in listening to these satsangs? It doesn't make any sense. You have to ask this question to yourself. Nobody from outside can answer. Not even your Gurudev can answer. Many a time my Krishna Guruji will say this, he feels very sad that today his students are not learning his teachings of just one teaching, which is be your good self. Why do we are not being our good self? Why are we becoming our mean self? That is what he says. I feel sad. Am I teaching anybody anything wrong? No, the Gurus teach something beautiful. He's teaching about being good, being nice. He'll always say, let the world be whatever they are. We are not concerned with that. You be your good self. Actually, it's not a tough lesson. Many years ago, it's very interesting. I used to think like this. But today, sometimes when I see what's happening around and all that when the bitterness comes in, you just don't want to accept it. So it is the reluctance within yourself. So you have to break out of that. So the breaking out has to happen. And whose self-effort? It is my self-effort. It is your self-effort. Nobody else can give it to us from outside. That is why we say, empowerment is within. I have to empower the divine being within me. I am this great goddess. I am that divine. I am that Paramatma. I am the Lord myself. So what am I thinking that there's somebody outside? To become that, first I need to purify my heart, my mind, and surrender to the Guru has to happen completely. I can't have doubts in anything that my Guruji says, does. No, I can't use my mind. The mind is what is the root cause. Haven't you been learning? So indifferent towards everything. And what happens then? Then when your mind is steady, your intellect is steady, and undistracted in meditation in God, you will then attain yoga. Yoga, which is an everlasting union with God. That is called oneness with the Divine Lord. Here itself you can realize God. But you think it's such an easy thing? No. Had Arjuna would have listened to Lord Shri Krishna, he'd have attained him right then. He'd have done his Swadharma without even questioning that I don't want to fight. I don't want to do this. That is what Arjuna has been saying, right? Unfortunately, he didn't listen. So he started questioning more and more and more. And you will see that. That's why we say it's a dialogue between the Lord and Arjuna. So Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue. It's quite like a question and answer. Lord Arjuna is asking Lord Shri Krishna, and Shri Krishna is imparting the most esoteric knowledge which will help us do our Swadharma, following the path of Dharma, which is righteousness. So let us continue with the next verse, which is 54. Arjuna said, Krishna, what are the characteristics of a God-realized soul? Stable of mind and established in samadhi, that is perfect tranquility of mind. How does the man of stable mind speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? It's a very fair question. So all this while, Lord Shri Krishna is defining how do you have that equanimity of mind. And then Lord Shri Krishna also says that the wise have attained this, the wise have reached, they are enlightened. So he's talking about all that, right? So Arjuna's question is very valid here. Arjuna is still questioning. That's what he said, no? Did he accept his answers? Yeah. He's like, yeah, I understand, but I still want to question you. So where do you think it is going to ever end? So 18th chapter has to go on, right? We are not ending this here. Had he just accepted what Lord Shri Krishna said and said, yes, I will do it, the next question wouldn't have come up. But what is Arjuna asking? Krishna, what are the characteristics of a God-realized soul? Stable of mind and established in samadhi, that is perfect tranquility of mind. How does the man of stable mind speak? What we don't know is how to speak. None of us know how to speak. We think we know to speak. Sometimes we speak in a nice manner. Sometimes we speak in a bad manner. We say whatever comes to our mouth. That's a big challenge we all have today. Like my Guruji says, we're all like a dog's tail who doesn't want to ever change. Our inherent nature comes forth so strongly. Our tendencies come about. We don't know how to live in this world in a nice manner, being a nice human being. Forget about being a divine. First, you have to be a good human being. So that's why he's asking, how does the man of stable mind speak? This is a very important lesson. How does he sit? How does he walk? Wow, that's a very important question which Arjuna has asked. So let us understand what Lord Shri Krishna is going to say to Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan said, Arjuna, when one thoroughly casts off all cravings of the mind and is satisfied in the self through the joy of self, he is then called stable of mind. Oh my God, that's a very, very powerful teaching. Do you even understand what he's teaching? Let me read again and let me explain what the Lord is saying in depth. Shri Bhagavan said, Arjuna, when one thoroughly casts off all cravings of mind. What is cast off all cravings of mind? Who's the monkey within you? Have you ever understood? It's your mind. The mind is the monkey. Who is craving within you? It's the mind. I want to buy that sari. My Guruji will say, Fab India. He'll always, just kidding. My Guruji will say, see, there's a Fab India. We should go there. They have come some nice saris. It's just his provocation. Provocation in the sense he's trying to say, look at that object. It's a sense object. It's creating that want, cravings of mind. It's already, you're addicted to something. Then that addiction is going to be put forward you. It could be, I want clothes, I want to buy jewelry, I want to buy this, I want to buy that. That object of sense enjoyments, sense objects are always going to be around. That is the way of Maya, enticement. That enticements are always going to be there. So, here he's saying, when one thoroughly means what? Completely. You can't retain anything. Thoroughly casts off all cravings of mind. What are the cravings of mind? The mind says, oh, wish today I will eat a biryani. Wish today I want to, eat an ice cream. Oh, wish today I could go out. I want to go with my girlfriend today somewhere. Oh, yeah, my best friend has called me. Me and my best friend want to go for some movie. Everything is a craving. It craves. Oh, I want to go to Harvard. I want to study in Harvard. I want to own a Mercedes Benz. They have a latest automatic car. Oh, my friend owns it. I want to buy a better one, the sports version. These are the cravings. Not just possessing objects. It could be many things. It could be a desire. I wish, the cravings also. I just want my parents to be, loving me. Why can't they speak nicely to me? I want at least once they have to speak nicely to me. What is that? Cravings of the mind. Who is this saying, I want it like this, I want it like that? What is your mind saying? Oh, why can't she speak nicely to me? Why can't she be nice? She has not asked me how I am doing. Those are all expectations. Those are all, what is he saying? Thoroughly casts off the cravings of the mind. So our mind has these cravings. It's individual. We'll also then judge the God. Look, the God gives the whole world, but he's not giving me. He's very mean to me. Okay. Then what else we say? Oh, my Guruji is teaching somebody else. He's not giving me this knowledge. Yesterday I gave you an example of the Himalayan Master, story from Himalayan Master, Swami Ramas. But his Gurudev knows what is right for you, what is not right for you, what you should get, what you shouldn't get. The Guru knows. He has a perfect understanding about your life. He knows your past, he knows your present, and he knows your future. You don't even have to open your mouth to tell him anything. Please remember, the Master is all-knowing. We actually reduce him to a petty human being. We think he's some ordinary mortal who has a body, who looks fragile, who looks old. But he is Lord Sri Krishna himself. Just that he's appearing as a fragile human being. But he has full knowledge about your past, present, and your future. He knows what to bestow upon you, what not to. You don't even have to open your mouth and ask. And this is the truth. The Divine Lord knows everything. The Guru already makes provision. I gave you a very beautiful example 2 days ago about a monk who goes out first time from his monastery to go, beg for food. And he goes and knocks at a door. A small 14-year-old girl comes. And he has never seen an adult, a teenage girl. He sees protrusion on her chest and thinks she's got some boils. And he believes it's some disease. So he calls this girl's mother and says, is your daughter sick? Because she's got the boils on her chest. So the mother understands that this monk has never seen a young woman in his life. So she tells him in a very nice manner. She teaches him. She says, when she has a child, God has already made provisions for the baby to be fed. So, what does that teach us? Then the monk gets a very profound lesson. You know what he says? Then why am I going and begging? My God knows what he has to give me. I don't even have to bother to go and beg. That is the understanding. That is the level of faith we need to have in the Divine Lord. And that is what he's saying. We have to thoroughly cast off all the cravings of the mind and is satisfied in the self. First, who is the self? It's very easy, no? Satisfied in the self. Now, we are not talking about satisfied in the lower self. We are talking about the divine self. And to understand the divine self, what should you have attained? Equanimity of mind, yoga. Do you see? Now that Arjuna has asked this question, he has already proved to the Lord, I can't attain equipoise of mind. I cannot attain equanimity. That is what it means. Because if he had already attained equanimity, this question wouldn't have come. But that's a very important question because we have to learn. So, and is satisfied in the self through the joy of the self. He is then called stable of mind, which is what? Again, that means yoga, union with the Divine Lord, equanimity of mind. Until you don't achieve this, you're always going to keep suffering. Let me tell you, whether it is you, me, even we can be on the path of spirituality, living with the Master for many years. You live with him for 12 years, 13 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, whatever years. If you don't practice these lessons, if you don't live what he's teaching you, if you don't follow your path, if you don't put effort, nothing is going to work in your life. You will be the same miserable human being who's going to be craving for things in your mind. Your mind is going to be yo-yo, and you will sanction yourself the cycle of birth and death, and you're going to be born again and again and again. That is what will end up happening. So please buck up and do something with your life. Start implementing these lessons in your life. Start practicing. Practice is the important word. You can't just say, I practice today, it's not happening. No, Lord Shri Krishna says very nicely, Arjuna, strive. Strive is the word, which means every single day you have to keep putting the effort. Maybe after practicing for 1000th time, maybe one time you will be able to live that lesson. That is the amount of self-effort and arduous effort you have to put. And you have to keep striving every single day. It is not just one day or just one thing. You have to do it in all your lifetimes. Please remember. So with that, we will stop here, the satsang, and we'll continue from verse 56 onwards in our next satsang. Thank you for joining Shri Bhagavad Gita satsang. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunathanataya Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.